Hello and welcome again to another version of Tuesday Tapestry. It's good to have you with us once again. Today I'm going to be talking to two wonderful guests about the topic of immigration. Of course, at the taping of this Tuesday Tapestry, it's quite an important topic in our country, as the so-called Gang of Eight just recently placed in the U.S. Senate a new bill for comprehensive immigration reform. And to help us talk about this important topic in our church and in our country and indeed in our world, I have two wonderful guests. We have Sister Veronica, a Holy Cross sister who's joined us, and Sister works extensively with Holy Cross Ministries and especially in the legal field, helping our immigrants to process the volumes of legal papers that are necessary. And we also have Angelica Rojas, who is from Mexico City, and she and her family are immigrants, and it's wonderful to have both of you on our show today.
Thank you.
Well, when we talk about immigration, of course, this topic is such a wide-ranging topic, and we only have so much time for this version of our Tuesday Tapestry. But as you know probably from past Tuesday Tapestries, from reading the Intermountain Catholic, and from keeping up with the Justice for Immigrants website, for example, the Catholic Church has long been advocating for comprehensive immigration reform in the United States of America. The Catholic bishops have written pastorals. They've been advocating for quite a while and trying to effect comprehensive immigration reform. And indeed, in June of 2007, we almost got there, but we just fell a few votes short. Now we have another exciting moment in our country's history when we can have comprehensive immigration reform, in which we can completely revamp the laws, the immigration laws, and this would be a boon for our country, for our citizens, and for the immigrant. Now, in particular, of course, a part of immigration, we talk about family unity is one of our Catholic Church's main emphases is to have family unity. We know that because the system has become so unwieldy and so archaic and so incapable of dealing with the current phenomenon of immigration, that many families are often fragmented. Members are deported. They wait, in some cases, decades before they can be reunited. I just heard this morning on an immigration conference call that there's some individuals, for example, when we talk about getting to the back of the line for this one individual would be 100 years.
That's right.
For some it could be 70 years.
Yes.
So needless to say, your children are grown by then.
Yes.
So we really have to change our legal system and really have a good, because we are a country of laws, and you work with the law every day, and you obviously have a great love of the law, sister. So maybe it would be helpful just to get into this if you could tell us a bit about what you do, okay. And then we can, I'm waiting to hear your story, Angelica, as well. So we'll start with you, though, sister. What do you do, and what is your ministry in terms of immigration?
Well, at Holy Cross Ministries, we provide a variety of immigration services, which includes, we call it general immigration, which is more when it's the family-based petitions, when there's a spouse, a U.S. citizen spouse, who wants to petition their wife or husband, or if it's a U.S. citizen who wants to petition for their children, or also a U.S. citizen who wants to petition for their siblings. And so that's part of what we do, the services that we provide, along with also a large group of us, and my position is to be a Board of Immigration's Appeal legal representative. So I do all the administrative portion of immigration, and we work directly with the clients, especially with clients also who are victims of crimes. We also work with those who are victims of domestic violence, and so there's a benefit through immigration for them to be able to get something called the U visa.
And the U visa is particularly for victims of crime?
It's victims of crime, yes. Whenever a person has been a victim of a crime, male or female, and they have collaborated with the police in order for the case to be investigated, and the police usually will sign what we call a certification, explaining that the person has collaborated, will collaborate, or is collaborating with the police to be able to solve this case. It doesn't have to be solved, but if the person has collaborated with the police and the police certifies that, then we can proceed and file a petition for the person to get this benefit of a U visa, which they can get for a maximum of 4 years. But after 3 years of having the benefit, they can apply for residency to become a legal permanent resident. So we have a lot of cases that we file that are for people who are applying for this benefit. We also work with those who have been married to U.S. citizens and are victims of domestic violence. We call it VAWA cases, which is the Violence Against Women Act. And then they also have the benefit of also being able to try to apply for legal permanent residency.
Mm-hmm.
So what my job is to try to help people to walk through the system or understand the system better, to be able to file all of the documents, to be the contact person with immigration, and then help them to become legal. And also know of different resources available to them, because many times the victims not only need immigration support, they need support in knowing what other resources are available, including counseling, and also other agencies that might be able to help their families. So it's a real well-rounded type of ministry that we do there.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like it. And of course, I've just always been so staggered by the complexity of the legal situation, the immigration laws.
Yes.
I would think brain surgery would be more easy than wading through all these laws. And what a good work you do. How good of Holy Cross Ministries to do that work, and you, sister, particularly. And also brings up the fact that that's why I know the bishops of the United States have said for so long that really the immigration question is so much more than just a political question. It's a moral question. It's a human question. We think, for example, the human trafficking. So many immigrants are victims of human trafficking. And you bring up that so many immigrants are victims of crime, domestic violence or other kinds of crime. And so often they're afraid to report the crime because they're afraid of deportation. So they're living really in the shadows, they're living in fear. And sadly, what's happened is we've developed a kind of a permanent underclass in our country where people don't have the benefit of the law. So I think it's good for us to realize that we do have these U visas and that we do have provisions for people so they can get help and so that they can follow their dreams and be the wonderful, productive citizens, or with some sort of status anyway, that they are. We're so blessed in our country by wonderful immigrants such as Angelica. So maybe Angelica, what is your story? How does this affect you and your life and your family?
So with my story was, my mom was the one that was victim of domestic violence, and my sister and I were under 18, so we were able to qualify as dependents or
derivatives.
Yeah, so we were able to get the benefit through my mom, per se. And one of the greatest things about this country is that, how you said, like, once you stepped in the country, you have the right to report a crime and to get help.
And the fact that that this is a system we now have in place, and of course the reform will build on that. We have so many people that need help that just may not be aware. How do you have a way of getting the word out to people that there is help, that they don't have to suffer, that we can get them the help?
What we do a lot of times is work with agencies, other agencies too, that provide the resources, and also give out our name. A lot of times through word of mouth, the community knows about us. Also through the different parishes, and they also know about the different services, because we also provide at Holy Cross Ministries other services as well. Along with the immigration, we also have the Promotora program, and they work at South Main Clinic and also in Park City at the People's Clinic. We also work with other organizations that provide legal support. Catholic Community Services many times will send people or refer them to us. And along with also one of the other services that I had forgotten to mention, which is a big one right now, is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So we provide also workshops where we help young people who came as before they were age 16, and they're able to file to be able to get their work permit. So we have helped approximately about 700 young people now, which has been a wonderful, wonderful gift to be able to provide that service.
I admire you, Sister Veronica, because I know that's not easy. I've talked with many people. We have in the Catholic Church a group called Clinic, and that's all they do across the country, as you know, is work with the legal end of immigration. And it's so complex, that boggles the mind. And so I admire you for being an advocate for and a concrete, real help to the immigrant as you guide them through this process. And I know that it's so important that it's done right and that it's done correctly, and if there are mistakes, it could set someone back years, really, in terms, and even possibly risk deportation and then more time waiting. So it could be a very frustrating and difficult process. So your ministry is just so invaluable. We can't thank you enough. And Angelica, you said earlier that in your case, you and your sister were beneficiaries of derivatives, I guess is the legal word,
Yes.
of your mom's U visa. And but I think it'd be helpful for our listeners just to, if you don't mind, to share a little bit about your story. You know, how did your mom come to go to the YWCA, and how did that unfold for you and your family as you saw maybe the light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, when my mom, the domestic violence happened between my mom and my dad, my mom actually ended in the hospital.
Oh.
So through the hospital bills started coming, and we went to victim advocates with Salt Lake Police Department, and they were the ones who referred us to different places that we could go through for kind of to take care of the bills, the hospital bills. And then we went to the YWCA to, it was for psychological help and more family unity. And they were the ones who referred us to Holy Cross Ministry. So
it's quite, so really there's quite a few agencies involved in your personal story there, and that's wonderful. And how old were you at the time?
I was 14 years old.
14, and what are you doing now?
I married recently.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On recent marriage, that's great.
And I work for a justice court
Mm-hmm.
in the valley, and I am enrolled for fall semester this year. So
wonderful. So you're working full-time, just married, and going back to school.
yeah.
Sounds like you're the kind of a neighbor I'd like to have. It's wonderful. You're hardworking. How has it been for you so far in the United States? I'm sorry for the personal trouble you had there, but in general, though, what's it been like for you to be in the U.S.? What are your impressions of the United States?
I love it. After everything that happened, I felt how everybody was so willing to help, and there were so many resources and so many things that you can do, and the only thing I could do is give back. So throughout high school, I was involved with a lot of clubs that helped. There were Empower Nations and other clubs that just helped grow our nation, better our nation. So we helped the soldiers, and then after high school, well, I got a scholarship through the Air Force because I graduated with a lot of community service hours.
Good for you.
Thank you. And so after that, my major is psychology. So that's kind of where, and I believe that once I get my major, I want to focus on domestic violence and rape cases. So I'm currently enrolled for May class with, it's the Rape Recovery Center, sorry. And it's for pretty much they help with their rape cases. So it's been great. I've had so many opportunities to grow. I've learned so much from different people that I've been able to work with. The person that I get help with Holy Cross Ministries, Rocio Gonzalez, and she's amazing. There's times that I needed a letter of recommendation, and she has helped me with that. And there's times that I needed kind of to know where I could go to get scholarships. So how she said, not only do they do the legal aspect, they also help you the whole time. Like sometimes I just call them to just kind of, hey, I have a question about this, what could I do? Or so they're very helpful. But my experience in the U.S. has been great.
That you give a lot back to the community, that you do a lot of, you said service hours, and do a lot for the community. And did I hear you say that your husband's in the military?
Yeah, my husband is in the Army.
Wonderful. Well, all the best to him, and thank you for his service to our country. And it sounds like you're a great support to him. So you're, in a way, very much part of that service, really, you know, as his spouse, as his wife. So that's wonderful. And I think what helps me, too, so often, when we have these discussions and talks on immigration, we think of numbers or statistics, but Angelica, you remind us that we're talking about real people, and these are all children of God, and these are all people who are, you know, very much looking to live a full human life in safety without fear of being persecuted. Whether that persecution comes in the form of political persecution, economic persecution, criminal persecution. There are a lot of ways in which human beings can be held down and living in terror and fear. And so our immigrants, you know, who come to our shores are real people such as yourself, and are just such wonderful people, and enriching our church, enriching our country in so many ways, sharing your traditions and your customs and your beliefs as we come together as one people. And of course that's the history of the United States, isn't it?
Right.
And we're a country of immigrants, and we've had immigration since the very beginning. I mean, that's how we began, really, as immigrants. And well, Sister, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming.
very much.
And Angelica, thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you, Sister, for sharing what you do with us.
Thank
And
you.
I wish you both the very best, and pray that you have a wonderful career ahead of you, and good luck in your studies. And Sister, thanks for all the Holy Cross Ministries is a great gift to our diocese. And
Thank
so
you.
I just want to thank all the sisters for all that you do for us. And this is just one of the many ways you help so many people. And so thank you, and God bless you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for our Tuesday Tapestry this time, and I think you'll agree we've had two wonderful guests, and please join me in keeping them in our prayers, and God bless you all.